Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama That's so you'll think I'm a devotee. So I got this. And you'll think I'm a devotee. See the sign. Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Okay, so I want to take a look at kind of an overview of Hare Krishna movement. Not politically, we're talking devotionally. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if you consider that because we exist, we have to exist somehow, in some situation, either the material arrangement or the spiritual arrangement. For those that don't accept that there is a spiritual environment, then they, by default, have to exist in the material, engaged in with the material energy, the illusory energy. For those that accept that there is a spiritual environment, they will Hare Krishna, Hare, engage to the best of their ability to gain access to that spiritual environment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are two divisions of the spiritual seekers. One is the impersonalist, who does not accept that there is a personality. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. He's, man, ads keep popping up and stalling out the video. I don't know what it is. Anyway, there are two divisions of spiritual seekers, the impersonalist and the personalist. Hare Krishna. And in the material arrangement, their activities are conducted under the control of the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So these are really kind of like the 5 basic areas that a person may find themselves being active in. The impersonal, which is no activity at all. The personal, which is engaged in devotional service to Krishna, devotee of Krishna, or devotee of a devotee of Krishna, or activities within the material world under the direction of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Those are the 5 basic, those are the 5 flavors, you know. You go into an ice cream shop, you know. You want strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, you know, coffee, or pistachio? You know, what flavor would you like, you know? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hey, Haribol, Madhu. So those are like the 5 fields that a person could become active in. On the spiritual side is the impersonal or the personal, and in the personal field of activity on the spiritual plane. It's really unlimited variety. In the impersonal field of activity, there's nothing, so that's an easy one. There's nothing there, because that's what they want, nothing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, whatever you want, that's what you get. Be careful what you ask for. And then in the material, within the material energy, the illusory energy, field of temporary activity, it can be active goodness, passion, or ignorance. And those are also pretty much unlimited varieties in there of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And there's mixtures. They mix, they combine, goodness and passion combine, ignorance and goodness combine, and they combine. So there's combinations and permutations, and the only one where there's really nothing is the impersonalist. They just don't want any, they don't want to exist, basically. They just don't want to even exist. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. In the field of material activity, engagement with the illusory energy, in the mode of ignorance, that's characterized by, what is it? Let me see if I can find it. Krishna. I don't know if I can find it. I'll just do from memory. How's that? It's sleep, laziness, procrastination, intoxication. They'll try to find shelter and peacefulness and relief from marijuana, alcohol, other kinds of drugs, legal or illegal drugs, alcohol, Hare Krishna, intoxicants, to get a sense of feeling good, feeling happy. And Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And illusion and madness. Craziness, illusion. Many years ago, before coming into contact with the Hare Krishna movement and the preaching effort of Srila Prabhupada, I was experimenting with those things, and to the point where I was looking for truth, but I was looking for it in the mode of ignorance. And I had to be institutionalized for a little while because I wouldn't talk to anybody. I actually got away with it at work for 2 weeks. I didn't say a word, either at work or at home or anywhere. I didn't talk. It was like a vow of silence. Because I wanted answers. Until somebody could give me some answers, I wasn't going to talk to anybody. Because I'd already asked the questions to different people that should have had, that I felt should have had answers, and they didn't have any answers. So I wasn't even going to ask the questions anymore. I was just going to wait until the answers came. So I wasn't talking. So they didn't know what to do with me. They thought I was catatonic and put me in an institution. And I saw in there, this madness. I mean, there were people walking around in there were 2 different people who thought they were Jesus. 2 different people thought they were Christ. And somebody else thought he was Buddha. And somebody else thought he was actually the devil. So there's that's craziness, there's kind of madness or illusion. Hare Krishna. So the mode of ignorance can take a person there, or they can remain functional and still be very crazy, or take a lot of intoxicants and Hare Krishna, Krishna. Along with that usually goes dishonesty, because how are you going to earn a living? You know, if you're lazy and can't do anything, you're not going to be able to earn a living. Unless the government, you know, plays nanny and gives you a check. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Just so you won't steal and rob to get your basics, because you can't do anything else. So mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We could say that Ajamil had fallen into the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then the mode of passion. Very busy, building things, making things, working hard, collecting funds, industrious, working. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Attached to results and very attached to sex activity, because that's part of creating and doing and making. And Hare Krishna, very attached. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare, the mode of passion. Hare Krishna, Hare. That's where that word comes from, passionate. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Very passionate. Hare Krishna, Hare. Filled with the mode of passion. Creative. Creative energy. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Doing businesses. Hare Krishna. Making money. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then the mode of goodness, where there's a sense of happiness and peacefulness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Boy, I gotta do something about this. This keeps taking the video to these ads. I don't know why it's doing that. Something has infected some program. Anyway, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, mode of goodness, sense of goodness, peacefulness, and pious activities, acting according to moral laws and rules, and so that reactions, bad reactions, aren't as intense, so there's a peacefulness. Pious activities, trying to be good, do the right thing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And reaping the results, you know. There can be some prosperity there and some material opulence. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, and it feels good. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And who really, you know, wants to leave a situation like that? It's cushy. It's nice. You know. Yeah, so it's temporary, you know. Well, let me enjoy it while it's here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So those are the choices. Materially, person can exist in 3 different environments: ignorance, passion, and goodness. It's all temporary. And spiritually, they can exist in 2 basically different environments: the impersonal environment where there's nothing, or the personal environment where there's unlimited variety. And to the degree that there's devotion, there is knowledge, realization, and bliss. It depends on the devotion, on the degree of devotion, or the quality of the devotion. So I wanted to read Bhagavad Gita here. This is chapter 12. Oh, look, it's entitled Devotional Service. Okay, so first Krishna discusses with Arjuna about the two spiritual choices. Because Arjuna inquires from Krishna, he says, which is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Okay, so that's his first question. Let me get going here. And then the answer, Krishna answers him and says, the Blessed Lord said, what does that mean, Blessed Lord? Blessed, what does that mean, blessed? You know what happens when you bless somebody, but what does blessed mean? Somebody blessing Krishna? Let's see, what blessed. Blessed. Sometimes it's used as a curse. Used in mild expressions of annoyance or exasperation. There wasn't a blessed anything anyone could have done. Okay, so that's the colloquial when somebody's unhappy about something. That's not the definition. Okay, that's a usage, vernacular usage. Okay, the actual definition here is made holy or consecrated. Okay, made holy or consecrated, made holy. So who made Krishna holy? The Blessed Lord said. Who made Krishna holy? I don't know why they're using that. It's kind of interesting. And when it's used as a noun, like the blessed, those who are blessed, it's a noun, is those who live with God in heaven. Okay, so it's coming from the Christian culture. Okay, so the consecrated or, okay, the Holy Lord. Blessed means holy. The Holy Lord. What does holy mean? Okay. We'll get through the verse. Don't worry. This is a study in Bhagavad Gita. All right. Holy. Hallowed. Sanctity. Okay. What's the Greek definition of holy? Oh, let's take a look. Holy Spirit, Spirit of God. That's Christianity. Wow. Okay. Okay. In Christianity, it comes from the Hebrew word ruach. 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 CH is chach. Ruach. Okay. And that's the word in the original Greek Bible that they use all the time for holy, is ruach. Interesting to know. Holy Spirit, Spirit of God. That's the Bhakti, the devotion. So, wow, you know, that's interesting in looking at this verse. That's a really great word to use because Krishna never appears alone. So the Holy Lord said, the Blessed Lord said, the Holy Spirit said. I mean, it could be the Holy Krishna in the form of the Holy Spirit says. That's a great word to use. I think they've taken it out in the editions because they're not privy to the Holy Spirit, so they don't recognize when the Holy Spirit is manifest in words or otherwise. So the editors have taken, they don't like that. The Blessed Lord said that. They don't like it. It sounds archaic to them. But actually, it invokes the Holy Spirit. To say, Blessed Lord, that invokes holiness. That, and with what? The Spirit of love of God. It invokes it. And you say, the Blessed Lord said. Okay, rest of the verse. The Blessed Lord said, he whose mind is fixed on my personal form always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith is considered by me to be most perfect. Okay, impersonalism shot down. Okay. All right, text 3 and 4. But here comes the booby prize, here comes the consolation prize, Krishna says. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. That's a long road, and that's a lot of stuff to have to, you got to live up to a lot there. And it's not like they're not doing anything. They're engaged in the welfare of all. So you've got service. See, there's your, it's kind of got a service thing going there. Don't have the goal quite right because you don't accept you're serving a person, but you kind of got the, it kind of sounds like, I mean, I hate to say this, but the Christian conception of God, kind of, a little bit. Well, they don't have a full information about the personality of Godhead, although they're accepting his representative in personal form. And Jesus is teaching, engage in the welfare of all. So it kind of reflects a little bit on the Christian approach, Christian teachings. But Krishna says, at last, they do achieve me. So Krishna accepts that path. It's a long way to go, though. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It really does sound like a reflection on the Christian teachings. Oh no, some kind of, these ads keep popping up. That didn't happen until I tried to update the program here. Anyway, very annoying. All right, text 5. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifest, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Yeah. The unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme. Now, even they, those on that path of impersonalism, have teachers who are embodied. I mean, you've got Lord Buddha, who's teaching an impersonal path. You've got Shankaracharya, he's also teaching an impersonal path. And in a sort of a way, but not to as great a degree, Jesus is actually teaching an impersonal path. But not to as great a degree, because he does refer to the Father. And he says, if you see me, you see the Father. So it's not exactly that. It's just, there's not a whole lot of information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, per se. So it's not exactly. But the stress is on welfare work. But, Krishna says if that's done, you're on the path, and even though you may not have access to information about my pastimes and activities as Krishna, if you're, because the impersonal is part of Krishna's body, spiritual, it's not material, it's part of Krishna's body, and you're engaged in welfare work, that's what King Riga, we're just reading about King Riga, the son of Ikshvaku, was engaged like that. He wasn't necessarily worshiping personality of Godhead, although he accepted that Krishna existed, God existed, but he was just doing welfare work. Within his heart, he wanted to know God, and he was engaged in incredible welfare work, very magnanimous king. And because of his one slight reaction for one even questionable, it wasn't even a deviation, it was just, must have been Krishna's arrangement to bring him to him. I mean, really. It was such a fluky thing, having that cow walk back into his herd and then having him give it away again to get a reaction for that, you know. And he achieved Krishna. But this is for those who are on the impersonal path, worshipping the unmanifest. You have to engage. It's very troublesome. It's very difficult for those who are embodied. Okay, it's the impersonal path. Now Krishna says, let's get some relief from that. It's so heavy. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me. He doesn't say giving up all his activities. He doesn't say that. He says giving up all his activities unto me. In other words, in another part of the Gita, Krishna said, I think it's 18th chapter, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, all activities that you perform should be done as an offering to me. So for one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, always meditating on me, 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 me. Krishna's got the mimes, who has fixed his mind upon me. The devotee gets the mimes too when they get Krishna. O son of Prita, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Krishna. It's all about Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. For one who worships me, giving up his activities unto me, being devoted to me without deviation. Huh. You know, Kamsa fit this verse perfectly except for the one little phrase, devotion. And he didn't worship Krishna and he wasn't devoted, but he was always meditating upon Krishna. He fixed his mind upon Krishna, okay, with great intensity. Actually, he was a devotee of Krishna, who was chosen to take this part of a demon because Krishna wanted to fight and kill. So he did that for Krishna. He appeared as Kamsa. He was one of the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. He could have chosen to be a devotee for 7 lifetimes, but he chose to be a demon so he could get back quicker, 3 lifetimes. Just shows you how attractive the material energy is, right? I'd rather be killed 3 times by Krishna than be probably a very exalted devotee of Krishna's for 7 lifetimes. Thing about being a devotee of Krishna, being a demon and killed by Krishna, is that you get Krishna's darshan. Now, being a great devotee of Krishna, you might not come directly into contact with Krishna when he's incarnating. I mean, you could be like the in-between times. Like, you could be like a great spiritual master or something, but the incarnation isn't actually manifest at that time. Like, you could become like a Bhakti Siddhanta or Bhakti Vinod, the great devotees. But the actual incarnation of Godhead isn't really present at that time. It was like 500 years ago. So those was an interesting choice of Jai and Vijay, that they chose to be demons and killed directly by Krishna. rather than to be, great acharyas and great devotees serving the mission of the Lord for 7 lifetimes, but not necessarily present when the Lord is actually incarnated like that. Interesting. So I always wondered about that. Why would they want to, be demons and be killed? Because they get the direct contact with the incarnation. Whoa. It must be written somewhere. I don't know where it would be written. They must have, a consciousness, must have been somehow or other, something happened to them. They couldn't have just gone back to be gatekeepers after all of that. Gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. Something else must have transpired for them, having that kind of interaction with Krishna, as serving him, serving Krishna like that. They didn't just go back to their post. There must have been something more going on with them. Be nice to know. It's probably in a Purana somewhere. Everything's in there somewhere. Okay. One who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, always meditating upon me, fixed his mind upon me, a son of Prita for him, I'm the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Okay, so that's your liberation. Yeah, you get liberation. There's so many fine details and different levels and nuances. It's like an ocean. Hare Krishna. Hello, Mr. Karuna. Okay, 12th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. So now Krishna continues. He says, just fix your mind upon me. Supreme personality of Godhead. Engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Okay. This is building up. It's building up. Krishna, Arjuna asked the question, what's better, impersonal or personal meditation, and what's the goal? Krishna says, not the impersonal. It's too hard. You'll get there eventually, but it's a rough way to go, the impersonal one. You just fix your mind on me, okay? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, engage your intelligence in me. Thus you will always live in me without a doubt. Okay, so that's text 8. Now, see where this is going. Okay, so one step above that, below that, if you can't do that, and that really can only be done if there's ecstatic love. If the taste for fixing your mind upon Krishna and engaging the intelligence of Krishna is so high, is so relishable, how else could it be done? There has to be the highest taste to be able to do that, okay? So then, wait a minute, there's a word in there, in the Urdhvam. Looking at the word for word. The word Urdhvam is in there, which means up. Well, it doesn't appear in the translation. Prabhupada translated, live in me always. But in the word for word, Urdhvam, he's going up. Highest, I would say, highest. All right, text 9. And Krishna continues, my dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And then what? In this way, you will develop a desire to attain me. And that's what Prabhupada gave. He gave the regulated principles. Why? So that by practicing them, you develop a desire to attain me, which is what? Fixing the mind upon me always, engage intelligence in me, and live in me without a doubt. That's the ecstatic platform. You see how that went? First we got rid of the impersonalism, we got to personalism. Then Krishna says, all right, just surrender to me. But if you can't do that, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And you'll attain the desire to attain me. It's right there. Okay, let's look at Prabhupada's purport here. Prabhupada says, in this verse, two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. Two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. Let's say it again. Two. This is Prabhupada, folks. Two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love. This is powerful, folks. Prabhupada's saying there are two processes of Bhakti Yoga. Do we need Balaram's club to bang people over the heads with this? Come on. Where's Balaram's club? Nityananda. Get that club out, Balaram. You know, do a little clubbing here. A little bam bam. Let's get a little bam bam going here. Two different processes. What verse is this? This is chapter 12, text 9. Jesus! Come on! Hare Krishna! Okay. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna. You know, people are so faithless, they don't think anyone can actually develop a loving attachment for Krishna, obviously, because someone who has developed a loving attachment for Krishna stands there before them and they just poo-poo. So they don't even believe that it's possible. When the living proof is right there. Hello, hi. Loving attachment for Krishna. By transcendental love. He's developed that loving attachment by transcendental love. Love Krishna. Okay, Prabhupada continues. And the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For the second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations which one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. How much clearer can it be? How much... Everybody wants to quote Prabhupada, quote Prabhupada, quote Prabhupada. Well, why don't you quote Prabhupada? This is quoting Prabhupada. This is Prabhupada speaking. Unless they've edited it out. They might have taken that out of there. I have to look at the new editions. Okay, here's the second paragraph in this. But Prabhupada continues. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is the purification of the senses. At the present moment in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification. But By the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified. And in the purified state, they come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money. And the master is also not in love. He takes service from me and pays me. So there's no question of love. But for the spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. The stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service performed with the present senses. And Prabhupada has just described two processes of devotional service. This is describing someone who has not actually developed transcendental love for the Lord. They practice under rules and regulations. Prabhupada continues, the love of God is now dormant state in everyone's heart. And their love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated, I'm really messing this up. Try it again. There is love of God is manifest in different ways. It's in everyone's heart lying dormant. It's manifest in different ways. But it is contaminated by material association. Now the material association has to be purified, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. And that's why Prabhupada gave the rules and regulations, so that persons could gradually develop a desire to attain me. That's the path of rules and regulations. But if a devotee is already attached in transcendental love for Krishna, that is devotional service. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. Okay, this is all the regulated. Should rise early in the morning, take a bath, enter the temple, offer prayers, and chant Hare Krishna. Then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam, and so on. Okay, this is practicing for one who does not have. I mean, they may or they may not have, okay? Someone who does have his awakened, he may be also doing like this. It's not necessarily that, you don't do, it's their choice. If they want to, they do. If they don't, they don't. Cooking foodstuff and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow. And one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. That's a little bit of a bugaboo in there. As long as we have Srila Prabhupada's books without too much tampering, we can still hear from pure devotees. Depends on how far they take it, the tampering. This practice can help anyone to rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga under rules and regulations with the direction of a spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. So there's a lot of problems with that. For one thing, it can take a very long time. It can actually take lifetimes of practicing this to reach the platform of actual love of God. And another problem is the line of disciplic succession. It's not just doing these things that is the secret or the key. It's twice in this. It says hearing from a pure devotee, practicing under the guidance of a qualified spiritual master. It's not just doing the things. it's hearing from the pure devotee, and it's practicing under the guidance of a qualified, bona fide spiritual master. See, just rising early in the morning, cooking food. If a person doesn't have love for Godhead, doesn't have love for Krishna awakened in their heart, then how are they going to offer anything to Krishna? That's not how it works. When they're under the shelter and guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, this is on the regulated path, who is designated by Krishna, who is in they're awake in Krishna consciousness, they're empowered by Krishna to teach like this. When their students offer, or their disciples offer food, that spiritual master takes it and offers it to Krishna, and then Krishna accepts. Because that spiritual master has love for Krishna. That spiritual master is actually Krishna conscious. So when the disciples and students who aren't Krishna conscious yet, they're practicing, make their offerings, it's the spiritual master who then takes that offering and puts the ingredient in it that makes it actually offerable to Krishna. It's like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if one offers me with love and devotion a fruit, flower, leaf, or water, I'll accept. He doesn't say, offer me a fruit, flower, leaf, or water and I'll just grab it up. No. So if one doesn't have love and devotion for Krishna, then the spiritual master adds that ingredient, because he does have love and devotion for Krishna. This is on the regulated path. So that's another problem. Not only, even if there is access to a bona fide spiritual master, even if there is access, it can take a very long time. But then the other problem is to be practicing all those things, but it's not under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Where's the love and devotion to Krishna going to come in for all those people all those disciples and devotees making their offerings? There's a lot of problems with that path. Because even if there is a bona fide, like Prabhupada, this bona fide spiritual master, and when the devotees are making all these offerings, he was accepting an offering. So who are they making these offerings to? Hare Krishna. There's a lot of problems with that path. So if there is a devotee who has transcendental loving relationship with the Lord and is practicing this process of Bhakti Yoga, Raganuga Bhakti Yoga, just go for it right away. Just go for it right away. As Prabhupada in this purport, he explains, there are two different processes of Bhakti Yoga. First process is one who actually developed an attachment for Krishna and is teaching that. And the second is for those who have not developed an attachment for Krishna, and there are prescribed rules and regulations to be ultimately elevated, if you're fortunate enough to get a qualified spiritual master to actually teach that. And Prabhupada's books, they're the foundation. But even that's shaky now. See? It didn't take long. In this age, everything's accelerated. In this Kali Yuga, everything's accelerated. The deterioration of society is accelerated. I mean, we have, instantaneous ability to communicate instantaneously anywhere on the planet. You can communicate instantaneously. Transportation it's still kind of cumbersome and expensive, but you can go almost anywhere. I mean, it beats, walking from here to India, So they'll get that down too. They'll probably end up with teleportation or something. They're working on it. Hare Krishna. So that really throws a lot of light on what's going on in Srila Gaurahari Das's Sangha. Because he is a devotee who has developed transcendental loving service with Krishna. One other thing is that can happen in any part of the social structure. It's not just a Brahmin thing. It could be someone who is influenced by the mode of ignorance, or is influenced by the mode of passion, or is influenced by the mode of goodness. We can find someone who has their transcendental loving relationship with the Lord awakened. Because in a previous verse, Krishna says, if I can find it, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Yeah, giving up all his activities unto me, being devoted to me, engage in devotional service, always meditating upon me. See, that's the first bhakti yoga. That's the first process. So those activities, they could be activities in the mode of ignorance. They could be activities in the mode of passion. And they could be activities in the mode of goodness. As long as there's Krishna. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's not that somebody has to become a perfect sannyasi so they can offer all their activities. Householder can offer his activities, and everyone has to earn a living. I think Prabhupada discusses that also. Whatever one does, okay, just purport here to text 8. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in direct relationship with the Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. It doesn't say that he has to be in the mode of goodness to be on the transcendental plane and to live with Krishna. Arjuna was not in the mode of goodness. He was a Kshatriya. He was very passionate. He was totally in the mode of passion. A bunch of wives, clanging around in armor all day, shooting and killing and practicing killing animals in the forest. And a lot of times they would eat what they killed. Come on. He's intimate friend of Krishna. Right there from the mode of passion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a little confusing sometimes because Lord Chaitanya appeared as a Brahmin and a sannyasi. So it looks like that's what everybody has to be. So it's a little confusing. Hare Krishna. But Haridas Thakur wasn't a Brahmin and a sannyasi. He was a Muslim. And he's the Acharya of the holy name. King Prataparudra was a great devotee. There you go, mode of passion, right? His passionate activities aren't gone into in any great detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But, he's a king, He's got the swords and the whole thing, Sitting on the royal throne, telling everybody what to do and what not to do. He's the king, Punishing people, rewarding people, engaging people, taking their money in the form of taxes, Those are his activities. That's very passionate mode. Was it Pundarik Vijayanidhi who was sitting on an exalted seat and looking very foppish? He decorated himself with all kinds of silks and ornaments and necklaces and slicked back his hair, kind of greasy looking. And I think, was he chewing pan? I don't know. So he was doing something, sitting there, had mirrors all around him. He's looking at himself in the mirrors. You know, he's a great devotee of the Lord. I think, what was it? Gaurahari Pandit that wanted to hear Bhagavatam from a pure devotee? Lord Chaitanya sent Gaurahari to hear from Pundarik Vijayanidhi. Gaurahari couldn't believe it. He saw the condition of this person. He's like, hear Bhagavatam from him? He's so greasy looking. Ugh. I think what happened was, there was some mention of the holy name of the Lord. Pundarik Vijayanidhi heard the Lord's name or pastime or something. I have to go back and read that again. But he heard something, Krishna. And he fell off the seat, unconscious. He went into a trance of ecstatic love. Then Gaurahari could understand, oh, it's all just external. This is a great devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram. A devotee, Prabhupada's purport, a devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. So his activities in the material plane could be in the mode of passion, ignorance, or goodness. But he's not living there. Just like a person has a certain type of body. You know, I have a woman's body, you know, but, you know, God help me if I identify with that's who I am. Because, oh my goodness, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, but it's a type of body. What can be done? You know, you have a type of body. And along with it goes propensities toward the modes of nature. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. But a devotee, although they may act on that plane according to the type of body that they have, they live in Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's just a temporary covering. Like, for instance, you know, you've got an elephant and you've got an ant, okay? They're different types of body, have different types of food, different types of activities, okay? But they're not those bodies. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Prabhupada continues, the holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. That is so nice. And they're so available to everyone, so powerful. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the Lord. Right. Hare, the internal potency. Krishna himself. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Gita and other Vedic literatures. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada is teaching the path of rules and regulations. So it's talking about doing these offerings. And Prabhupada says the Lord directly accepts these eatables. He accepts the eatables directly because of the mercy of his pure devotee. Unless someone is on the pure devotional platform and is in a loving, transcendental, ecstatic relationship with Krishna, then Krishna will accept directly, because they have transcendental love for the Lord. So there's two different things going on. There's two different processes. There's the external process where you put food on a plate and you place it before the deity. But you don't place it directly before the deity by himself. You place it before the deity and you have a picture of your guru there, right? Prabhupada, or your guru. And that's, you offer like that. See, this is the external practice. Devotee engaged in the spontaneous service, they can feed Krishna, offer food to Krishna directly, because the Lord is within their body. And when they're eating, they're feeding Krishna. You don't make some extra external effort or show. If they, whatever they're eating is being accepted by Krishna, because Krishna is alive in their body. And they love Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama. It's two different paths of bhakti. Okay, if you can't do that path, feed Krishna directly. Hare Krishna. I mean, it's not much more, it can't be much more direct than that, right? Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnized by eating the remnants. Okay, so you have an apple, right? And you offer it to Krishna in your body. It can't be much more direct than that, can it? If you can't do that, if you can't offer food to Krishna directly, okay, then you follow the rules and regulations. You get a picture of Krishna, you put your spiritual master's picture there, you put the apple on a plate, and then you offer it to Krishna, the food becomes Krishnized, and then you eat it. Okay? If you can't offer it to Krishna directly, see, there's a danger there, because people can't tell the difference between, they can't recognize Krishna, and that there's two. There's the devotee and Krishna. They can't recognize that. They think it's just them. And then if they just eat the apple, then it just goes into sense gratification. It doesn't get to Krishna. But someone who is engaged in a loving devotional service with Krishna, if they eat the apple, it goes to Krishna. Krishna accepts it through them. This is really high stuff. And this is what Srila Gaurahari is teaching. And that's why I like to hear from him, because he does fit the book. And when he's reading what Prabhupada's teaching, he can see the other indication in there. He's not restricted to the external practice. He can see what Prabhupada's talking about. It's in there. It's in there because that's Prabhupada is on that level of pure devotional service. That's why if you offer something to Prabhupada and he eats it, it goes to Krishna. Like when devotees know that we're cooking for Prabhupada. They would cook for Prabhupada and Prabhupada would eat it. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that from some of Prabhupada's direct servants. If they, before they brought it to Prabhupada, they put it on a fancy plate and offered it to Krishna and then brought it to Prabhupada, which doesn't make any sense at all. Because the only way Krishna will accept it is if Prabhupada accepts it. So they were cooking for Prabhupada. One time Prabhupada came into the kitchen. I love to hear stuff like this. And he put one of the big serving spoons directly in a pot that was being cooked to be offered. He took it out of the pot and he tasted it. It wasn't offered yet. And he looked at everyone and he said, I can do this, you can't. Why? Because Krishna is alive in his body. He was in his direct relationship with Krishna within himself. It wasn't the Krishna out there somewhere. See, that's why the spiritual master is the external manifestation of the supersoul. And this is what Srila Gaurahari is teaching, how to get to that platform where it's not the external practice, but how to get on to the internal practice of Krishna consciousness, love of Godhead. That's why I like to hear from him. Oh, Krishna. Krishna. My God. Hey, folks, there's a lot to do. Wake up the sleeping souls. Man, there is a lot to do. Oh my God, there's a lot to do. Oh God, here I am, the mode of passion and ignorance. And why oh God, Hare Krishna. My God. Okay. Yeah, so we read that. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative rules of Bhakti Yoga and you will develop a desire to attain me. Okay, text 10. And then we go to the next level down from rules and regulations. If you can't do that, now we're going like into Karma Yoga. He says, if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So it gets more and more risky as you go. Because there were bugaboos with doing the regulated worship. For one thing, it took a really long time. Or it can take lifetimes doing the regulated practice. And there can be pitfalls along the path. Slips and falls and detours. It can be tricky, very tricky. And then it has to be practiced under the guidance of a qualified, bona fide, pure devotee of the Lord. And that may not even be available. And then there's all kinds of deviations that come in there. The whole thing becomes very weak. And the atmosphere, because we're existing in an atmosphere of illusory energy, starts to come in. It's very tricky. And then this is even more risky. Practice, if you can't do that, which is already a risky path, and try to work for me, you'll come to the perfect stage. Whew. You know what it's like, there's all kinds of karma stuff that can come in there. Because engaging in work, there's all kinds of karma. Well, first of all, you might have to work for a boss you don't like. And second of all, you might have to do a job that has a lot of karmic reaction to it. All work in the material world has some kind of karmic thing to it, especially in Kali Yuga. He says, just try to work for me. There's all kinds of karmic stuff in there. Like I had to work in a motel for a little while. I was on the night desk. So I was all by myself. I liked that. And I was reading and chanting and going on the internet all night. Everyone was sleeping. But I had to get that breakfast ready in the morning, and I had to put out these scrambled eggs. Okay? So not being on the platform of pure love of Godhead and just trying to work for Krishna, you can get a karmic reaction for that. Okay? It's a little different, someone who's on practicing the spontaneous devotional service, then they're protected a lot more from the karmic reactions. for different kinds of activities, because they might be coming from the mode of ignorance or passion or goodness. But someone who's trying to practice the regulated path, then they're a lot more vulnerable to these things, reaction. And then what to speak of someone who's just trying to work for Krishna? They get all kinds of karmic things coming at them. So that's very risky. See, Prabhupada's purport, one who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master. See, it's always there. You're not just, making offerings. It's always under the guidance of a spiritual master. And to find a bona fide spiritual master, well, can still be drawn to the perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. If a person who can't follow regulative, they should be sympathetic or supportive of the Krishna consciousness movement to help the devotees who are trying to follow these regulated paths and to propagate Krishna consciousness. They should offer land, capital, organization, and labor, just like in business. Yeah, voluntarily, help somehow. Okay? They'll get some protection. And text 11. Then it just goes down from there. If you're unable to work in this consciousness, then try giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. If you cannot do that, then engage yourself in knowledge. You see how far down the rung this knowledge thing is? It's way down on the list. Higher than trying to cultivate knowledge is sacrificing some of your labor. That's higher. It's way down on the list, this knowledge. It's lower down on the list than meditation. Yeah. This verse, if one cannot take to this practice of, and the lowest form of it was to simply, work and offer something, if you can. Lower than the lowest form of that, okay, is this verse. If you cannot take to this practice of simply working and offering something, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. It doesn't say giving up action. It says renouncing the fruits of the action, like doing it for Krishna. Not with the aim of enjoying the results. But knowledge, cultivation of knowledge, is even further down than meditation. Of the three, renunciation of work, of the fruits of work, meditation, and cultivation of knowledge, knowledge is the lowest. It's on the lowest rung. This knowledge, memorizing these verses. There's a little saying Prabhupada would say, a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a charlatan religionist. Than a so-called devotee full of all this knowledge. A sincere sweeper in the street. Wow. Yeah. Boy, I'm getting a big eye twitch on that. Man, my left eye won't stop twitching. Wow. Whew. Wow. All right, text 13:14. One who is not envious is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, free from false ego, and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me. He's very dear to me. Yeah. That's your sincere sweeper in the street. I think Srila Gaurahari fits this. It says free from, not free from ego, but free from false ego. Let me read that again. One who is not envious, but who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me. He's very dear to me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In the purport, Prabhupada describes Krishna. Big long description of, it looks like a Brahmin. Prabhupada's describing a Brahmin here. He's never disturbed in any circumstance, not envious of anyone. No one is his enemy. He thinks it's better to suffer than protest. He's in distress. He thinks it's the Lord's mercy on him. Thanks to my misdeeds, my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I'm suffering now. Always calm, quiet, and patient. Kind to everyone. Does not attach much importance to the peace and trouble pertaining to the body. This is all very Brahminical stuff. Does not identify with the body, free from false ego. He's equipoised in happiness and distress. Doesn't identify the body. Tolerant, joyful, completely perfect mystic, because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master. His senses are controlled, he's determined, not swayed by false arguments, no one can mislead him. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord. All his qualifications enable him to depend entirely on the Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, but a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So Prabhupada is teaching this regulated path, and that's what someone who follows this path perfectly looks like. And he says the Lord is pleased by all his activities in full Krishna consciousness. But this is a description of the someone is following the path of regulated service. He for whom no one is put into difficulty, is not disturbed by anxiety, who is steady in happiness and stress, is very dear to me. This is all a devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure expert without cares, free from all pains, who does not strive for some result, is very dear for me. Hare Krishna. One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and stress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. Yeah, it's looking more and more like the path of spontaneous devotion. And the final verse in this chapter on devotional service. One who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me. Okay, so this is coming up to the platform or the level of faith, Shraddha. Such a person who has complete faith in Krishna is very dear. What to speak of the one who has transcendental love for Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we know in the very beginning of the chapter, Prabhupada explains there are two Krishna, where is it? Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. See, I can't seem to find it. Where is it? Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, here it is, text 9. If you can't follow the spontaneous path, then Krishna says, fix your mind on me without deviation, follow regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way you will develop a desire to attain me. Prabhupada says in the first sentence of his purport, 2 different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love. And the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For the second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations which one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada has one grand disciple, Srila Gaurahari, who has now been given the order by Prabhupada to teach this other process of Bhakti Yoga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All it takes is one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. At one point, the whole disciplic succession was down to one acharya, Gaurkishordas Babaji. He was the link between Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. The link was Gaurkishore, who only had one disciple, Bhaktisiddhanta, who then had many, many disciples and followers. And they're preaching to whatever degree they can. But his foremost disciple, who was actually empowered, was A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And now A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has many, many disciples and grand disciples and followers and well-wishers. But he has one Raganuga disciple who is teaching under the order of Srila Prabhupada. Don't miss it. Srila Gaurahari put a link to his, he has a book out now, put a link to his book, and he's using the Facebook Live to give classes 2-3 times a day, sometimes more. So, Hare Krishna. Govinda.